Morning, I'm Mark Peterson. I'm retired from John Deere, spent 26 years as a field manager out in Western Kansas. Today I'd like to talk about John Deere's lineup of windrowers and some of the things you need to do to make sure you've got that machine working to its best potential. So the best quality hay that a customer is going to have is right in front of this windrower. Everything that we do after the windrower hits it is going to cause damage to that crop. Our job is to minimize that crop damage with everything we do. To get a windrower to operate at its peak efficiency, there's a few things to remember. These turtle shells are not real effective at moving crops, so we need to run them as flat as possible. With John Deere's cutter bar, it's a very thin design, which allows us to run it flat and still maintain that close cut height that we want for that hay crop, but without having to run that crop uphill as it's cutting the crop. I've got the skid shoes on the back of this machine set where I typically will run them in alfalfa. The first thing with the setup is to set your skid shoes up as high as you can to get the correct cut height while running that cutter bar as flat as possible. I typically will run these one hole from all the way up tight against the cutter bar when cutting alfalfa. The second thing after you've got your height of cut set is to get your knife speed set correctly. The idea in setting your knife speed is to keep these knives fully extended. If the knives start to fold back, they don't have sufficient knife speed, typically the windrower will leave an uncut strip of hay between the third and fourth modules. Too much knife speed is also bad in that that will cause a lot of recut on the crop as those knives come around and cut the crop again before it has a chance to move back onto the turtle shells to get into the conditioner. And that'll show up as a bunch of chopped up small crop that will dribble out underneath the auger. The John Deere cutter bars come from the factory with the third module in that counter-rotates to help move that crop back to our converging auger on the back of the head. There is a stripper on top of this converging auger that is very critical to set correctly. John Deere uses a very aggressive converging auger design that helps evenly distribute that crop mat across the conditioning rolls to help ensure that we get even conditioning no matter where that crop comes through the rolls, whether it comes through on the ends or in the middle of the rolls, we get the same conditioning all the way across that crop mat. John Deere offers 4 different conditioning options available on our windrowers. We offer the V10 conditioner, which is what this machine has. We also offer a urethane roll. We also offer an impeller and our Trilobe conditioner. Our Trilobe conditioner is a steel on steel, wide fluted conditioning roll that is by far the best conditioner in alfalfa. However, I don't recommend it for other types of crops. The next adjustment we need to be concerned about is our roll gap. For alfalfa, I want the rolls pretty tight together. Sometimes when the conditioners are new, you have to give them a little bit of a gap to keep the sharp flutes from cutting the crop. But after it gets worn, you can put them back down tight. This machine is equipped with TouchSet, which allows me to make a lot of adjustments in the cab. The roll gap I can set simply by pressing this button, turning the knob on the side, and adjust my roll gap where I need it for the crop type I'm in. The John Deere W200 series windrowers have 2 distinct steering systems that work in tandem to give the infield performance and on-road performance that we expect out of a John Deere machine. We have our traditional drive tire steering system like windrowers have had since windrowers were invented. In addition to that, we have an active steering system on the back of the machine. The way this system works is at slow speeds, this cylinder does very little, if anything. Oil just freely bypasses, so these wheels will spin freely for quick turning in the field without damaging the turf. As we speed up, we start employing a little steering effort out of this steering cylinder. Starts 4 or 5 miles an hour and ramps up as we increase our speed. Once we're above 8, 9 miles an hour, we're doing the bulk of the steering through this cylinder and not relying on our drive tires. This steering system is a critical component to allow this machine to auto track with great precision at up to 17 miles an hour.